at some point in time, 3 years from now, Jordan Love will be 26 years old, 27 years old, and taking over a quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. And if that happens, we'll look back and say, nice pick. But if anything other than that happens, what a weird start to a career for Jordan Love. What will his career even become? Who knows at this point?
So basically, he's been on the team for 2 years, both the MVP seasons. So he has served a role, right? Would you draft a player to get your star quarterback back to MVP form? Every team in the league would, right?
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if they completely knew that. Clearly not, because it looked like a disaster. He just has not been very good. I mean, last year with the immunization, remember, he started – I guess he just started the one game with the Chiefs, and they lost 13-7. Remember when his mom and girlfriend were at the top of Arrowhead?
In the nosebleeds, yeah.
I mean, he was 55%. Now, part of Jordan Love was almost like a poor man's Trey Lance. Good kid, good physical attributes, but very kind of Josh Allen-y in college. Remember, inaccurate. Utah State was in a weird transitional period, but like he does have physical gifts. I watched a little bit.
His did he play 4 years?
Yeah, his second to last year in college was good, and then his last year was bad.
And then he came back with a bunch of hype, and it wasn't as good.
But he does have physical attributes. I will say this. Ayahuasca, whenever he brings him up, does speak highly of him. And I've even heard Devontae talk about him and spoke like I think he's well-liked in the building, which is always a positive as a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say by about your third year, one thing Jimmy did, I remember working out at the Bay Club probably in like 2000, might have been 17, could have been 2016, 2017, when he was still on the Patriots and being on the treadmill and watching a preseason game, Patriots versus whoever, and thinking like, fuck, Jimmy looks pretty good. And the build-up by then, right, he had been the backup for several years, and there was hype. Like, people had been trying to trade for him. Bill kept saying no. But I think he was widely considered like, this guy's going to be a starting quarterback. And I remember hearing Tom Curran say one time, like, people forget Jimmy's first year was like, they're like, is this guy any good? Like, it doesn't happen overnight. Everyone goes a little slower. Jimmy, small school. And I'm not saying this guy's going to turn into Jimmy Garoppolo, but big transition, Utah State. Also, a lot of weird stuff going on in the organization, like the star player. Kind of be a little weird spot. I think we should leave this game if the guy's going to be a starting quarterback one day, obviously for a different team. God, that guy's pretty talented, right? And the defense we've seen, you and I have been to all these padded practices, it's not going to be easy. So to me, if he does it against a defense that's going to be flying around, I'll be impressed. I think it's a pretty big moment. I told you this morning, looking at my phone, and the Packers Twitter account is just like the first thing when I opened up on my browser. And it's just Gutekunst. He's just giving a press conference. I was like, God, I wish Lynch or someone just give a press conference, just there in his Packer gear like he's the coach. And he's just getting rattled with questions. And they were obviously asking him a lot about Jordan Love and asking what are ultimately, what are you guys looking from? And he basically just said basic things like moving the ball, having successful drives. Like, he didn't say I need 3 touchdowns, but it's basically, it's pretty clear when the the offense is moving behind him, and you'll be able to tell. I think it's this is a tough challenge, to look good against a defense that is just goes too deep at a lot of positions, and a defensive line that, they wouldn't play their starters anyway, but like, they have multiple star offensive linemen that are injured. It's not like Bakhtiari, even if he could, he's not even off PUP or whatever yet. So I think the league is keeping an eye on this game specifically for him. Like, is this guy going to become a trade candidate? Like, it kind of needs to happen because he doesn't get reps. There's the immunization thing. Like, no one gives a shit about that anymore. So Rodgers ain't missing any games. So this is his time to this is his tape.
Yeah, but he is only in year 3, right? He was a first-round pick, so they have his rights for 5 years.
But I'm talking about, like, right now he doesn't have any value. Right? There's no value. Like, if they want, they couldn't flip him for a second-round pick or something.
No, I know, but what I mean is, it's what if they believe that what if they still believe, and we have no reason to know what they believe at this point, other than he's still their backup. They haven't replaced him there. What if they still think there's a chance he replaces Aaron Rodgers one day, whenever that day is, and they're just going to hold on to him until that day comes?
They might. Rodgers keeps saying he can retire at any moment.
Yeah. He likes to keep them on their toes. But I
you're just a couple years away, though, Guy, from, okay, this is where they kind of ran into with Jimmy. A little different because Tom wasn't leaving. If Rodgers plays 2 more years, so you would pick up his 5th year, like he would play as a backup on the 5th year option. Like financially, it would start getting a little weird fast.
True. That's true.
Now you're still 2 years away from that, right? Because he's only in his 3rd year, so he's got his 4th. They still have multiple years. But my point is to feel good about it, either internally or like, no, like we got an asset here. This is his month. Like ultimately, Jimmy kind of grew some buzz because Jimmy was making plays in the preseason.
Yeah. And then got his chance and played really well. Right?
And played really
got
well.
hurt.
Yeah.
But even without Ward and Mosley, Charvarius Ward and Mosley, like you said, one thing we've been watching with this Niners defense, it's a really deep. Their starters are clear tier 1 everywhere except I'd say their backup corners are experienced, right, and talented.
And then kind of started in the playoffs. Right?
Exactly. And then their D-line, like they got 2s running that could easily. Sometimes their 2s are running with the 1s, and sometimes, I mean, right now Kerry Hyder is basically one of their 3s. Like that's a damn good player for 3rd on your depth chart. So the Niners D-line is obviously the Kasaric effect is legitimate,